Tanner. I'm a little sad to now this is my last panel of the day, but I've had a pretty good first Toronto Comic Con. Is anyone else, this is their first time here? Anyone back who's been here before? Okay, well, I'm excited for our next guest. I had the honor of meeting her a couple of years ago at a different show, so yeah, we can keep the conversation going. Any Mrs. Doubtfire fans out there? Matilda? It's pretty split. All right, let's do this. Everyone make some noise for Mara Wilson. Wow.
This does feel very official.
It does, I know. I was saying to you earlier, be prepared to make a very serious press conference. Or like we're like athletes.
Yeah. I was going to make an athlete joke, but then I forgot that I don't know anything about it.
I just think we need to just pass the puck more, take more shots. I think we'll really take it.
Yeah, sorry for fighting.
Too many penalty minutes, that was really runs down.
That was bad, yeah.
I'm so happy you're here. I got to chat a little bit in Calgary not too long ago.
Yeah, that was fun.
And now we're doing this all over again, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So does it get, is it still surprise you to still walk out onto a stage and see large groups of people screaming for you?
I mean, this is definitely one of the bigger crowds that I've seen in a while. That's definitely cool. That never gets old. So I definitely like that.
It's so cool because, as an actor, a lot of times you don't really get to connect to people that you reach, right?
That's very true. That's very true. And that was one thing that I had trouble with when I was in film acting, is I felt very sort of divorced from the process of making it and the fan base. And especially when I was a child, so much time would pass between when I made the film and when the film came out. And when people were starting to see the film and receive the film, that I felt almost like it was years and years ago. Sometimes it actually was years ago. I mean, a year in the life of a child is like 5 years in the life of an adult. So they would say, "Oh yeah, you were so great in this movie," and I would be like, "Oh, I was in a movie." Yeah, and that was the thing. I think I kind of took that for granted. So it's really nice, and that's one of the many reasons that I like doing cons is you get so much love in one day, and you can feel really, really just. There's cats with ice cream on that shirt, and I love it. Sorry.
All these flavors, and you choose...
To be salty? That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Sorry, anything with cats, or dogs for that matter, is close to my heart. So, yeah, I really like being able to talk to people and to connect with people. It's really nice, and it's always so nice in a con setting, too. It's... because you get to get dressed up and everybody's having a good time and it's fun and it's so much different than somebody running into me at the airport at 2 a.m. And asking for an autograph and I'm on allergy medication and stuff. That's not that that's happened or anything, but it's nice. Everybody at cons is so nice and at the risk of making a stereotype, the Canadian cons are always so much nicer.
With a con as just a fan, would you dress up as something? What would you do?
I'm kind of lazy when it comes to cosplay. Sometimes I look at awesome costumes and I'm just like, I should do that. But then I'm like, no, I shouldn't, because that requires too much work. And I sewed a skirt in high school, but I don't know if I could sew a whole outfit. But I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm gonna have to think about who I would cosplay as. I've had some fun Halloween costumes. Definitely. I was Dorothy Parker a couple years ago. I tried to do the sexy thing with the unsexiest thing I could think of, so one year I was Sexy Ayn Rand. That was one of my favorites. That was definitely one of my favorites. So one of my friends always suggests that we be, what are they called? What's the team name from A League of Their Own? What'd you say?
Peaches.
The Peaches, yeah. She suggested that we all go as that someday, and I think I would like that. I know nothing about baseball, but that movie still makes me cry. So yeah. But is there no crying? There is no crying in baseball, but it had to be said. It had to be said. Exactly.
Now, how does it feel to know that like a lot of your work, people have just grown up with, and like some of these people who were the same age, and we were the same age watching you in film.
It's incredible. I mean, the past couple of years, I've started to hear, oh yeah, I showed your film to my daughter, to my son, to my child, and that is really amazing to me. I mean, for a while it was my nephew, my cousin, my little brother loves that movie, and now it's people actually showing their children, so it's a multi-generational thing, and it's kind of amazing, especially Matilda. I think Matilda in particular seems to be resonating, and aging well in its own way, and so I think that is something that, to be a multi-generational hit, that's pretty incredible. I mean, what more can you ask for? And to be a character that is, fighting for justice and is in literacy and intelligence and has those values, I think that's something that is incredibly important, and it's amazing to me that it's a message that still resonates with people.
It's amazing. And have you always embraced your, the work that you've done when you were younger, your whole life? Because I know some people sometimes they look back and they don't want to.
I mean, I had many angsty years. I did, and I think it's hard sometimes when you have been a child playing a character. And when you grow up, I think in some ways it's kind of like, and this is provided you have, like loving, caring family, which unfortunately some people don't. It's kind of like how you grow up and you want to sort of separate yourself from your family and from your childhood, and you want to be independent and be your own thing, but you feel like you can't. You feel like you keep turning into a little kid again whenever around your family or your teachers, and everybody, your parents' friends are saying things like, I remember when you were this big. Like, imagine the whole world saying that to you. And that's what it can be like to be a child actor. And I mean, I kind of felt like people were confusing me with Matilda, which, there are worse people to be. I mean, no, I'm not telekinetic, I'm just telepathic. No, the thing is, I felt like people were mistaking me for Matilda, which in some ways works to my advantage because, people think that I'm smarter than I am. But also, it's hard because you can't live up to her. It's kind of like living in a cooler sibling's shadow. So that was really hard for me. A lot of people were disappointed when I wasn't as smart or as pretty or as fun or as cool as this character that they had seen on screen or built up in their head. And I really didn't like disappointing them, and I didn't like the fact that me just being myself disappointed them. At least that's how I felt for a long time. So, but the thing is that as I've gotten older, I consider myself really lucky because I loved the Book of Matilda as a child, and I loved a lot of these characters that I played, and I had wonderful experiences being with them, and I get to hear all the time that your movie was the reason that I became a teacher, your movie was the reason I became a librarian. Actually, is anybody here a teacher or a librarian? Raise your hand. Every time I do a show, without fail, at least 10 hands go up. Lots of librarians, lots of teachers, lots of educators, always. So, and that's great. That means a lot to me, and it's inspirational. So that's something that I really love, and that's something that I can hold on to, that I was inspirational. And I got to pay tribute to this character, this sort of archetype of a character that I loved so much. So it was hard for a while, but I think I've come back to embrace it.
Very cool. And I love that you've put a lot of your stories in your book, which I happen to have a copy of right here.
Yeah.